Welcome everyone to the December 15th Little Miami Joint Fire District Trustees meeting. At this time, will we please have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Lancer?
Present.
Mr. Shelton?
Here.
Ms. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Van Harn?
Here.
Everybody should have received in their packets the minutes from both October 21st trustees meeting and the November 18th trustees meeting. The October was a oversight by myself, so we need an approval of minutes. And if there's any corrections or deletions, I need a motion to adopt the October 21st, 2020 trustees meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, or all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes for the October 21st, 2020 trustees meeting have been approved. Now we can move on to the November 18th, 2020 trustees meeting. Do we have any corrections, deletions, additions? At this time, I need a motion to adopt the November 18th, 2020 trustees meeting minutes.
So
Motion.
moved. Oh, second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The minutes for the November 18th, 2020 trustees meeting have been approved. Do we have any communications?
We do have one this month. It is a letter from Chief Jeff Bronson of the Fairfax Police Department, dated December 9th, 2020. Dear Mayor Shelton, on behalf of the Fairfax Police Department, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to the Little Miami Joint Fire and Rescue, Chief Terry Timmers, Captain Mike Rackley, firefighter Chris Higgins, and firefighter Craig Belcher for their assistance at the 2020 Fairfax Police Association Car for Kids Toy Drive at Walmart on December 6, 2020. With everyone's assistance, the event was a huge success in promoting the holiday spirit for local families in Jack's Closet. Thank you all. Respectfully submitted, Jeffrey Bronson, Fairfax Chief of Police.
For those of you that don't know what this is a similar to a Toys for Tots for kids in the community, and all leftover proceeds go to a place called Jack's Closet. Is that it, Jenny?
Correct.
I believe it is. And it's a place that works with kids that are homeless, or not homeless, but and put in a different home, for whatever reason. But the proceeds, the monies and leftover toys go to that organization. So again, I'd like to thank the chief and the firefighters that were there. Clerk's report.
Okay, the November financial reports are attached or in your packets. In November for receipts, we received the contract payments for both November and December from Columbia Township. The EMS collections in November was a good month. We received almost $30,000 in EMS reimbursements. And then the rest of the receipts were some miscellaneous items, but the main amount was $10,000 or so that we got as a rebate from BWC, which probably all the communities received as well, in different amounts, of course, but that was a rebate / COVID related funds, but we're not earmarked to anything specific. It was just whatever the district feels like it needs to spend those monies on. So that was deposited in November as well. Under expenses, in November, we had our big debt service payment go out. That was a total of $443,211.25. And then besides that expense, a few of the other expenses on the check register to note that aren't our normal monthly expense. There was a payment to Stryker Financial $2,900. And that's a maintenance agreement, I believe, for some monitors that the district uses. 911 Fleet was another vendor that was repair to the door on one of the fire engines that had previously been damaged, and the district had previously received some a rebate or a check from our insurance company for that. This is just the expense to fix it. And then you'll see again, as we have every month, but there was a little bit more than we've seen lately, reimbursements for employees who are covered by medical insurance, their HRA reimbursements through Navia. It's not unusual that we see a lot at the end of the year because people are trying to get their HRA funds spent before they expire at the end of the year. So those are the ones I wanted to note, but please ask if there are any specific questions about anything on the check register in a few minutes. And then I just will point out that later in the meeting under new business, we do have a supplemental appropriation to clean up things and switch a few accounts around that were running higher at the end of the year, mainly gas and electric, vehicle maintenance and repair, and the building maintenance and repair fund. So taking some money out of part-time payroll, which we have a surplus of, and leftover budget funds from auditor and treasurer fees, and moving those into those accounts within the general fund. And our cash balance at the end of November, after we did pay the debt service, is $562,166.29. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Hearing no questions, I need a motion to approve the clerk's report for the month of December or November. I'll make the motion. Do we need a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Mr. Lamar,
Yes.
Mr. Lancer,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Van Harn.
Yes.
The clerk's report for the month of November has been approved. On the old business, any update from Gulf Manor at this time?
Yeah, so we've received the inventories for Station 47 as well as the Fairfax station. One thing that wasn't clear to me in reviewing it was the valuation for those items identified on those asset inventories. Assuming I read it correctly, I would like to know if there's someone available who can assist on this, or is Gulf Manor responsible for providing a valuation on these items ourselves?
No. So, Andy, this is a subject that we've talked about with Terry Donlin quite a bit because it goes into the asset allocation that we have to perform. So we provided the methodology that was used for the Newtown separation that would apply to everything but the building. So the vehicles, the equipment, large and small, and also just regular run-of-the-mill inventory. So we would be prepared, I think, on the district's end to use the same kind of methodology that we used before. We've left that issue for another day, frankly. But I don't think there's any impediment to us going forward with that. The way we did it last time is for the big ticket items. Then Chief Ramsey did some investigation and utilized the methodology based on what he was able to garner from the manufacturers in terms of original price and current value, and then using straight line depreciation for certain other items based on their age. And then he had one of the other firefighters do more of a price review of some of the smaller items and put that together. So I think we could do that again. We can talk to Terry Timmers about timing, but I think from our end, we're ready to do that if Gulf Manor is amenable to using the same methodology. If you had a different idea for valuing any particular item, we can discuss that and come to an agreement.
Yeah, Gulf Manor is, I think I can speak on behalf of Gulf Manor. We are supportive of using the approach that was taken previously. One thing I would like to have an idea of is timing. We are trying to move forward with a certain number of our options. But this is a bit, as I said previously, this is a big component in our evaluation of what options are available for Gulf Manor. So do we have an idea of when that valuation could happen?
So let me talk to Terry offline, Terry Timmers, about the manpower he needs to do this. I don't think we're talking about an extended timeline because we already have the list and we already know how it was done last time. I think for some of the items, it's simply a matter of extending out the depreciation. So that can be done pretty quickly. For a couple of the other items, it might require some additional phone calls to the manufacturer for some updated values.
Right.
So that's the only thing I think would take maybe a little bit longer. And then obviously for the other items, there are a lot of miscellaneous items on there that fill each of the stations. I think the value is going to be roughly the same as it was before, but for some of those items that might be a little out of the ordinary, age is probably going to have a factor there. So let me talk to Terry. We're eager to get this done quickly as well. So we'll certainly expedite it, but I don't think this is something that should take too terribly long to get done.
Right. I'm probably in agreement about that. I would just like to request, if possible, we would like something completed by January 8th, that week of January, if possible. Now, I understand that it's already December 16th and we have the holidays coming up, but if at all possible, we would like it completed by then.
That shouldn't be a problem, mate.
Yeah, I think we can do it. We'll confer with Terry, and we'll certainly keep Terry Donlin up to date if there's any issue with it. But yeah, we're ready to roll on that for sure.
And last, and before I get off my pedestal here, I'm happy to assist in any way. So if there's something if there's some opportunity for me to assist in this area to kind of expedite it and make it happen more smoothly, feel free to call and contact me. I'm, as Terry knows, I'm in the building most every day, and I'm happy to assist in any way I can.
Yep, we may well do that. Appreciate it.
End of my report.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Lancer? Okay. Thank you. On a new business, Resolution R13, 2020.
To provide for the current expenditures and other expenses of the Little Miami Joint Fire and Rescue District during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, by transferring funds from general fund part-time salaries to general fund vehicle maintenance, repair, and fuel, and from general fund auditor and treasurer fees to general fund building maintenance and supplies, and general fund gas, electric, and declaring an emergency.
And this is the resolution that Mrs. Cameron talked about in her report, year of end bookkeeping. So, do we have any questions on this? This time?
I just want to share, because we have audience members who are always interested in the financial piece of it, that this is an end of year rebalancing of accounts where we spent more in certain areas and less in other areas. And so we're not increasing the budget or decreasing it. We're moving between accounts so that we can complete the year with the accounts reconciled. And do we have to pass the resolution by emergency or as a financial resolution? Is it just one reading only, perhaps?
It is actually, and it always has been. So that declaring emergency, I don't know, Alan, if that even needs to be in there.
It does not, no.
Okay.
So I can modify, that's take that out there. So, Mr. Shelton, when you ask for the approval, it can just be done by, without doing the 3 readings.
This time.
May I also say that Jenny Ms. Kaminer does a fantastic job for us. So at the end of the year, with the probably hundreds of thousands of transactions that you do between Fairfax and the Little Miami Joint Fire District, I appreciate what you do for us and the explanations and the transparency. And it's been a pleasure this first 3/4 of a year working with you on this. I think it's very much appreciated by the members and the residents as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I appreciate that very much.
Any other questions? This time I need a motion to adopt resolution R13 2020 with the removal of the declaring emergency.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Mr. Lamar,
Yes.
Mr. Lancer,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Van Harn.
Yes.
Resolution R13 2020 has been adopted. On to resolution R14 2020.
Okay, so R14 2020 is the 2021 appropriations. So the board, knows what they're looking at in their packet. I did include the budget that the board approved back in July, but the column for the 2021 budget, I went through and hopefully highlighted the line items that are changed or that I looked through and the board may consider changing based on things that we've seen coming in. So really, I'm gonna just hone in on those. And then if there's any other specific questions, please ask. But if you first look at the budget sheets that were sent out, first I'll start with 2020. So the payroll is the main thing on there. Obviously, we had more in our budget than we had actually happening. And I feel pretty good now that we're almost at the end of the year that especially in our part-time salaries, that the $600,000 that was budgeted for 2020 is going to be more like the $520,000 figure that you see there. We also have a little bit of savings in the ambulance fund for full-time salaries. Again, we had a little bit more budgeted for 2020 originally because of some financial concerns issued in a subcommittee we had earlier formed at the beginning of the year. There was not a replacement of a full-timer after firefighter Nothless left. And so that resulted in some savings as well. So carrying those reductions into 2021, it helps with our end of the year carryover this year. And then making the assumption that next year payroll, much of payroll, the idea would be that much of it would be very similar to this year, that we would not need $600,000+ in part-time payroll again. Our original budget back in July had that up at $680-something thousand. I cut that back down to $550,000. And we are going to be looking for a chief next year, but it won't be an entire year's worth of salary for a chief. So line items for payroll have been reduced accordingly, and including Medicare portion from the employer and the FICA portion that comes from the employer. In the 2021 budget column, a couple of the other expenses, I did add a couple $1,000s under state examiner fees next year, only because they're not completed with the audit. It's more of a leftover amount that we might get tacked on at the end, beginning of next year until they complete their work. And then some of the line items that we've had higher expenses in this year For instance, our building maintenance supplies, our vehicle maintenance repair, gas and electric. I adjusted those expenses to be close to what we actually spent this year. Vehicle maintenance and repair in particular is always quite an unknown, but since we all know that especially our vehicles are aging, and we really don't yet have a line item anywhere in our budget for major capital equipment replacement, I increased that from, I believe it was $50,000 that we passed in July up to $75,000 for next year. But because of the savings in the payroll, reducing those in the budget, our carryovers at the end of this year and then at the next year, at the end of 2021, I should say, are definitely better than our July budget showed. So if you look at the very last page of the budget sheets, the carryover balance at the end of 2021 is now projected to be $281,926,000, where the one we passed back in July was only be $52,000. So there has certainly been a savings in the staffing changes that were enacted early this year. And again, not replacing one of the full-timers that had left, that helped with that situation. So on the resolution that's attached, those expenses listed down on the resolution, and I'll in a minute answer questions first, then I'll read some of the totals down. Those mirror the line items that are listed down on the budget, and list all the expenses for each both general fund, special revenue fund, and our debt service fund. So did anyone have any questions for us about any of the numbers that were changed? Do you have any opinion on them? Want to talk about anyone in particular, raise them, lower them? You know, do you see that there's any, I should make sure I didn't overlook anything.
I have a question. Does the fire district have a goal in terms of maybe a best practice and how much carryover they'd like to carry over from year to year?
I don't know that we've ever set a goal for that, Andy. It's always been
What it
ended
was?
up with, yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking because there's opportunities, and I'm not sure that the fire district is eligible for it or not, but there's opportunities in terms of financial tools that perhaps are worth exploring if the fire district ever gets to a certain level in terms of carryover to invest in, that might generate additional revenue for the fire district.
You said there's a tool out there that we could,
Yeah, I think Star Ohio is one of
Right.
them.
Right. And the district has invested those in the past. District has had regular bank CDs. District has had monies in money market accounts. But in the past several years, with trying to keep things very liquid and that being a little uncertain of what our, especially, well, this time last year, we weren't in a good situation, but for the loan that the district received. So, you know, there's definitely, hopefully, when things are now improving and can get better financially, that can be done again. But all those things you just mentioned, Andy, you know, the district has participated in the past, just in the past several years have not done so.
It seems to me that if there was a goal, it would be attached to some kind of plan. And it might be, for instance, that the fire district should have a goal or plan to say we are working towards having 6 months worth of expenses in carryover all the time, or whatever that reserve, whatever the word is that's used. And also, as part of that plan, there seems like there should be something set aside as a, you know, the accounting term, where we're putting money aside for future capital investment requirements, whether it be fire trucks or things that I don't know. And also the, is it turnout gear, things like that, that would help support. It seems like that would be something that right now, if you're moving forward, that'd be a good thing to start creating that plan in which the goal is supporting, or whichever way it goes. That might be an effort that you might want to consider to put on the agenda for next year.
I have no problem with doing that. I mean, it's something that we can talk about and get it set up. Right now with our finances and as far as equipment and stuff like that, it's we're in a hard spot right now. And right in the past, I thought at one time we did have something, but it kind of went through slide of the fingers. I mean, we didn't, with the monies that was coming in and everything else, we never went back to it. And that was probably a mistake of the board at the time, but you're right. Both of you are right. We need some kind of a fund set aside for equipment and stuff like that.
Well, as a midline experienced person, I've been involved with at least Gulf Manor as a municipality for about 3 years. And I've heard about the history that we had even 3 years before that, the struggles that we had, and they have really worked hard. And it's amazing how far we've come. And it's taken 4 or 5 years. And it's really, it's life-changing. It really is in terms of how strong the village is. We still have a ways to go for our goal, but to see where we've been and where we are now, it makes a big difference on how to handle things like COVID. And I mean, it really, and I would see the same thing. It's not going to happen overnight. Plan and a goal that we've constantly been working toward now, and I've been attached to now for about 3 years, and seeing it moving forward, it's really important. And the value is still yet to come in many ways for the village. I think that's very similar to what's going on with a fire district. There's going to be some, very similar things in how that they work together.
Do you have any other comments?
I have a question that perhaps Ms. Kaminer may know. I don't, I'm sorry. So townships are required to have a minimum reserve. I believe cities are, villages are as well, but I don't know if public districts like the fire district are required to have those. I know our requirement is either a percentage of our recent budget revenues or a percentage of our expenses. So is that something, I mean, I'm not even certain who to ask that about.
And I do not know if there is a requirement for special districts. In all the years that the district has been audited, that's never come up or been raised or discussed. So, but it is a good question. And now that you raise it, I'm going to actually ask it. I'm going to contact, because we are, we have auditors in the background working on stuff.
Yes.
I'm going to ask them that question because I do not know if that applies to special districts, but a very good question. So,
and it may be, if it does, that we have always had that amount in there. I know that I feel that the amount for townships is very low, but I understand probably the reasoning behind that. But so that would be interesting to know, at least that we could comply with that. And we appreciate the feedback from Gulf Manor on goal setting and long-term capital replacement and maintenance plans. Those are very important and part of the sustainability that we're looking for with the district. I really have been enjoying all of our conversations at each one of our board meetings. I think we have a really good group here.
If I may jump in, if you may use the word requirements that may be needed, that are maybe dictated, but also best practices. Best practices are kind of like a barometer. If you're supposed to have 500,000, but you got 4, that means you're okay. You're close, but so that so I might look for that terminology too to help get a feel for it. So
I appreciate the comments from Gulf Manor and Columbia Township. Is there any other questions from Mrs. Kaminer on the appropriation?
if not, I'll just quickly, just so I can state it, read down the section of the general fund and all the funds, and then read aloud the total amount of expenses planned for 2021. So Resolution 1420, sorry, that should be, that's a mistake there. This is the 2021 appropriation. Under the general fund, the administrative appropriation is a total of $444,601. Under the district building and grounds expenses, that totals $110,500. Under fire protection, which includes a good portion of salaries, that total is $2,266,752. I'm sorry. That total is $1,711,651.76 for a total of general fund expenses of $2,266,752.76. Under our special revenue fund, or the ambulance and emergency fund, total expenses of $761,359. And then, which does include, and I'll point out, a portion of the bond principal and interest towards our building debt service, and then a separate debt service fund in the amount of $202,042.76, which is the remaining portion of the bond interest payment, as well as the principal and interest payment on the Fairfax loan. A grand total of all funds added up together to be projected to be spent in 2021 is $3,230,152.52.
You've heard the appropriations for 2021. Do we have any other questions for Mrs. Hammer? This time I need a motion to adopt resolution R14, 2020.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Mr. Lamar,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lancer,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Van Harn.
Yes.
Resolution R14, 2020 has been adopted. On to the fire chief's report.
All right. Well, when I was typing this up, I was going to say that we had all our employees back, but then I got a text saying that one of our part-timers tested positive. So that threw that theory out. So under vaccinations, I've been working with the Board of Health. We've been emailing back and forth on how many vaccinations we are going to need at the fire department. So right now, we are projected to try to maybe start vaccinating our people around the 22nd of December. So, but that date could vary. And then under equipment, I received a letter from the adjuster on the vehicle that struck the fire hydrant, and they should be working on that vehicle as we speak. So, and then I'm talking with Brian Young, the chief from St. Bernard, in reference to Elmwood. And Carson, you'll know that because this happened to you, they have ended their talks. They have not spoken to St. Bernard in weeks. So they're going to try to do something, I believe, after the first of the year. So, but we are still continuing. If we are down to 3, we are not going to respond to Elmwood and leave Gulf Manor without an ambulance. So
you're saying right now that St. Bernard is no longer talking to Elmwood about contract?
well, it's Elmwood not talking to St. Bernard.
Yeah.
St. Bernard is willing to try to talk to him, but you know, as you know,
Same thing happened to us.
exactly. Yeah. So, and I have nothing else, unless you have anything about the rentals.
What just looking at this, Terry, what do you estimate the run total to be this year? I'm looking at it right now, we, probably somewhere around 1,700 right now.
Yeah, that'd be a good
So
number.
probably another 100 or so.
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Chief Timbers? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Any Board of Trustees discussion?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holidays.
Same to you and everybody else. Any other comments? We're open for adjournment. Got a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.